Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, today I've got a 2-in-1 kit from Sluban. It's the Sluban Jagdpanther stroke Panther. As some of you will know, I've not had a lot of luck with Jagdpanthers. It's one of my favourite vehicles, and the two that I've done in the past have been utter disasters, so I've got my fingers crossed for this one. And what we'll do is the usual format, 60-second speed build and some pics and then the review. Now on the speed build, save you watching two quite similar sort of builds, I'm only going to do the Panther because the model that I'm left with at the end is the Jagdpanther, but we will be talking about both towards the in the review. So let's crack on and build. Welcome back. Right, now of the two builds, obviously first of all I did the Panther and then I did the Jagdpanther. Now with the instructions, generally they're pretty good. However, if you, like me, are going to do both builds and then decide which one you want to keep, first of all it's the Panther in the first essentially half of the book, and then it becomes the Jagdpanther. Now, as you would expect, you don't, if you do the Panther first, you don't need to completely break it up to do the Jagdpanther. However, the instructions will start from scratch from the Jagdpanther, so it can be a little bit difficult if you do the Panther first of all to know how far to break it back down. It's not just a case of taking the turret off, for instance, and then building up the casement. You've got to break down a lot more than that, but it's a little unclear of where you have to go back to then go forwards. So that is a bit of a pain. So if you definitely know which one you want to build, it's a lot easier. And certainly if you're going to build the Jagdpanther first, or that's the one you're after, you do go about halfway through the book. There we go, halfway through the book, and we have a finished Panther. Then you've got to make up your little bits and pieces. You get some sandbags, you get tank trap thingy, and then you start on the Jagdpanther itself. Now, as I say, generally the instructions not too bad. There's a few places that could be a little clearer, but they will just about get you there. Now, as far as the bricks go, they fit reasonably well. I've got no real problems there. They're not too soft and they're not too hard. There's no discoloration, there's no warpage. However, I was missing on the Panther one piece, just a small 1x1 plate, which, to be fair to them, is entirely possible that it's got knocked off the desk somewhere. That's happened before. But with the Jagdpanther, I was missing 3 or 4 bits, which was a little bit more serious. Now, they weren't bits that were out of the ordinary, so it was more sort of 2x1 plates, that type of thing, which are reasonably common. And because those ones that I was missing aren't on view it didn't matter that some of the spares I had lying around were different colours, but it's just something to be aware of, that there were a couple of bits missing. Excuse me. Now, as far as the Panther goes, as you might have seen in the pictures, and I'll flash another picture up here just to show you, the body of the Panther I didn't think was too bad. I'm not a huge fan of this multicoloured type of camo, but that's me more than anything else. But the actual bodywork itself was not unreasonable. It wasn't as good as some that I've seen, but it was okay. Now, then we come to the turret. Now, the turret, I'm afraid, was a bit of a mess and let the whole thing down, as far as I was concerned. It was just a little bit all over the place. Yeah, very lumpy and bumpy rather than being sort of smooth and angled. I think that Sluban could take a leaf out of Guanjon's book as far as the turret of the Panther is concerned. So overall, if you were getting this particular model for the Panther, I wouldn't. There are a lot better models out there by other manufacturers if you are specifically after the Panther itself. Guanjon, obviously, the 12-go one as well looks pretty good. So, and this is a problem I do find a little bit with the 2-in-1 models, and I've had this in the past with particularly Sluban, who do tend to do these things, where I did the King Tiger and Jagdtiger and the IS-2 and the IS-122. I tend to find that one model is considerably better than the other one. So which way round it can be, it can be a little bit tricky. With the two previous ones, I think the IS-2 was better than the 122, and I think that the King Tiger was better than the Jagdtiger. However, with those particular models, you don't get many ISU 122s and you don't get many Jagdtigers, so if that's what you were going for, yeah, it's a bit unlucky. However, on this particular one, if you are going for the Jagdpanther, this is a different story. Now, as mentioned earlier, I've not had a particularly great history with Jagdpanthers, which is unfortunate because it is one of my favourite vehicles. The two that I've done prior to this one, which one was by Kahi, which was just absolute crap, and the other one was by Kazi, which if you did see that video, you might remember that I never actually fully finished it because the way that it was built on the hinges with nothing to support it in the middle meant that you were supposed to lean everything up against each other and then put the top on, and every time you tried doing that, it just broke everything, and it was just, the proportions were horrible on it. It was just a disaster. So I ended up just leaning the back against it, and that was it. This, however, is a different kettle of fish. Now, I have to say first off that the proportions on this are by far the best of the three. Not quite perfect, but it's in leagues ahead of the previous two. The angles that they've got, the size of the angles as well on the Kahi one, the angle at the front here and the lower glaciers were about the same size, which was just ridiculous. On both of them, the Kazi as well as the Kahi, you do have a slightly angled roof as well, which, as you can see, Sluban have actually got pretty good there. Now this is, you'll be glad to know, considerably stronger in that they've built up underneath the casement and then lent everything against that, so that helps immensely with the strength. But when you're trying to put this together, it means that you're not, as you push in on one, it's not pushing everything else out or collapsing everything. So that's really, really good. The general level of detail, if anything, particularly at the back here, is probably a little bit too much, a little bit fussy, which is a slight shame. But I do appreciate that they've gone to the effort with it. Now, you get 3 minifigures with this. I've only done one up because they're all pretty much identical. And as I say, you get the sort of tank trap, and you also get a little barrel for some reason. So overall, if I was buying this set, I would only be buying it realistically for the Jagdpanther. As I say, this is not a particularly common model to get, and the third attempt I've made at this, and as they say, third time's the charm. It's pretty much there. It would be nice if they did one that was in a solid colour, as far as I was concerned. As mentioned, I'm not a great fan of the camo here. The gun does move fairly well. This one is a little, oh, there we go. It's a little stiff, but it will move. Slightly unnatural there. But overall, it's not too bad. As I say, by far the best Jagdpanther that I've seen so far. As mentioned on one of the previous Jagdpanther videos, Kobe do a Jagdpanther, although I have heard, and I've not done it myself, from different viewers, that has quite a few problems on the strength side, and is a little bit overly fragile as well. This one is pretty strong. So, how much is it then? £13.66, which to my mind puts it in the pocket money range, and for that you get quite a reasonable size model. I'll put it up next to the Sluban Stug. You see it's also in that awful camo, but it's about the right sort of size compared with the Stug. And obviously, as this is a 2-in-1 model, if you do one, there are a certain amount of bits left over, and with the Jagdpanther, there's probably more bits left over than the other way round, so some more to add to the collection. But overall, if you're getting this for the Jagdpanther, yes, definitely worth it. £13.66, quite happy with this. As I say, by far the best Jagdpanther I've done. I've got a lot of spares, I've got a couple of extra bits and pieces, in that sort of thing, and you've got 3 minifigures, so it's not a bad little haul for £13.66. If you're getting it for the Panther, I would hold off. I would save your money and get something a little better. So there we have a tale of two tanks, a Panther and a Jagdpanther. One's worth getting, one not. So hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again. You take care. Bye bye.